Hello, 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 and welcome to the next episode of the Shane Walsh podcast. So today's episode is a little bit different. It's the first time that I'm going to attempt to record a video for the YouTube channel, which is at Shane Walsh Fitness up on YouTube. And it's going to be a little bit different because I have no idea what I'm doing. And it should be entertaining to see a man approaching 40s try to work the internet. So if you're watching this, thank you for watching it. If you're listening to it, thank you for listening to it. And today's topic is one of those topics that I think a lot of people are struggling with right now in I don't know what to eat for fat loss. And it's coming up more and more every single day that I kind of talk to people on DMs, or when their people are starting up with me in the female fat loss group, or whether they're starting up with me on a one-to-one coaching basis. And as someone who is a qualified nutritionist and who also is 7.5 years experience of how people, thousands of people work through this and navigate this and what they don't know what to do. And trust me when I say this, you're not alone with how you're feeling about things. Most people, when they start to come to me, aren't struggling because they're lazy or they're unmotivated or they're lacking discipline. They're struggling because they're so overwhelmed. And if we think of overwhelm is essentially by definition doing a whole lot of things outside of what we value. So if you're feeding everyone else and not feeding yourself, if you are going out and meeting loads of people and not maybe nourishing yourself enough, that's why we can get overwhelmed. So I want you to look at and maybe try to look at unpack why we maybe feel a little bit lost and why so many people are even struggling. And I want you to I'm going to look at a few different guiding points and three main guiding points in particular. What should I eat, or what would you eat if you were trying to lose weight? I'm going to give you three main points on that and how to navigate this as much as I can. One, it's going to be evidence-based. It's going to be, there's probably more than three, but these are the three basic groundings that I work with them clients when I'm working with them. And when I look at what people are saying, I don't know what to eat for fat loss, I'm going to look and start from the beginning of why are so many people lost about what to eat. It's like, let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is ironic because I'm on a platform which is social media. Social media is rife. If you think of this study been done by DCU, which is Dublin City University, on accounts on TikTok, they analysed about 18,000 accounts on TikTok, and only 2% of the information on that was correct regarding nutrition. But it also showed that probably about 97% of people are looking for their nutrition information from social media. So you have a massive correlation issue of most people are going for social media before they go to maybe who are qualified, but also they're looking for information that is playing to the algorithm, which is a lot more people using shopping boards, trying to draw your attention with their hands, distract you on what they're actually trying to tell you, when there's a whole lot of nuance missing. People can come out with the most complicated information and just confuse you with these terms and you think that they're educated. But they can also just say, here's a high protein recipe book, and go off, solve your problems. That's not going to solve your problem. If you look and spend 30 seconds of your life and look at 30 seconds on social media, you're going to get 10 conflicting different pieces of information. Carbs are the devil. You should eat more carbs for your hormones. You shouldn't drink caffeine first thing in the morning. Intermittent fasting is the gold standard. Eating every 2 hours will make you fat. No wonder people feel paralyzed in what they're trying to do. So if we add in a few more influencers showing off tiny Tupperware portions, etc., and shredded abs, what I eat in a day, those accounts are not going to help you in what you're trying to do. I love those what I eat in a day posts, but I disagree with what I eat in a day posts with the ones that are a picture of their arse, their abs beforehand, because it's easy to start believing that your plate will lead you to looking like that individual. It will make you look like you're on a fitness magazine cover and you're doing something wrong if you try to follow that routine and you don't. Trust me, I've done the Men's Health, or I've tried different websites when I was younger of I eat like this or I train like this, I will look like that. But then when you look into more research, a lot of the people I was trying to follow were people who were probably on enhanced stuff. But I want you to start to think that here's the actual thing. It's not that you don't know anything about nutrition. It's that your inner compass and your inner dialogue has been drowned out by absolute noise and drivel. And here's a question I love to ask people to highlight this. What would you eat if you weren't trying to lose weight? No one can answer that question. because we're riddled with food noise. We're riddled with food rules. We've been told it's too many sins. It's free food. Carbs make you fat. Fats make you fat. Sweeteners make you fat. None of those are true. But we don't know how to trust ourselves because it's become a truth. It's replayed and replayed over in our head over and over and over again. And most people freeze. They get this blank look. Not because they don't know how to feed themselves, but because they've been dieting for so long or consuming so much conflicting information and advice. And they're completely lost and disconnected from between nourishment and restrictive dieting. When people hear dieting, they hear misery, they hear restriction, and they forget about what actually fuels them, what satisfies them. Yes, it's all about calories in, calories out over a considerable amount of time. But if we're struggling to nourish ourselves, and a lot of people have an undernourishment issue when it comes to weight loss, in that they're starving themselves and restricting themselves all day in the hope that willpower and discipline will get them to the night, but then they're exhausted, and then this whole thing of decision fatigue creeps in the evenings, and before they know it, they're head full of Ben and Jerry's. It's not that you don't know how to feed yourself. It's that you've been dieting and restrictive dieting for so long. So let's make this really, really simple. If you're trying to figure out right now what to eat for fat loss, and more importantly, what to eat for life, these 3 powerful messages will help to ground you. Number 1 that I always talk about with people is, what way do you get your kids to eat? Or your nephews? Or your niece? If you have children, I want you to think about encouraging them what to eat. A mix of foods. More fruits and veggies. Eating regular meals, because the hunger creeps in and then they get hangry and then they start crying and you just want them to be quiet. And you also don't expect them to have perfection. You aim for balance with them. Now, I want you to look at and take a big deep breath in and try to almost apply that logic to yourself. Because somewhere along the way, we've stopped giving ourselves the grace. We've stopped giving ourselves the simplicity we give to our children. We hold ourselves to these ridiculous standards, which aren't even our own, while knowing we're not going to ever expect this rigidity from somewhere else. You wouldn't let your kids do what you do when you go for restrictive diets. That's facts. You wouldn't let someone you love go with the methods that you're going to. Yet if you're out and about with your friends or whatever it might be, the topics of conversation are of what diet are you on. But I guarantee if you actually look at where your rules are coming from, where your maybe food patterns are coming from, it's coming from your parents, the role models that you had when you were younger. But now we're passing them on to the next generation, the more confused generation, the information overload generation. And no wonder it's not knowing what to do. And no wonder we get so overwhelmed. But the reality is, it's not about not knowing what to do. It's about believing you can do it. Because a lot of people think that weight loss, and I know I'm someone who helps people lose weight and keep it off for good, so this is going to sound weird. Weight loss won't make you happy. We think that life will be different if we're a certain weight, if it's a certain measure on the scales. It won't. Your partner will still be a dick. Life stress will still be happening. Your kids will still shit themselves. Your boss will still be a cock. But most people I know and I speak to know more about eating more regularly, eating more vegetables, eating more protein, drinking more water, getting some sleep. That would all help. And practical use is the underlying thing. The real block isn't the knowledge. It's about that self-belief. It's a practical piece when it comes to that self-belief. It's the years of failed dieting that feels that you're broken. You're not broken. It's the guilt that makes you think that you'll never get this right. But fat loss doesn't come from this finding this perfect plan. I've never had anyone be perfect for 6 to 8 weeks of coaching. Never. But yet they get the changes. I've had clients lose up to 70 pounds from using the methods that I work with, and it's been tailored to them. It comes from believing and taking one step at a time. It's not pressing the fuck up button every time you go over your calories at the weekend, because that's ultimately a panicked decision through control. That control that we don't believe we deserve the changes. We don't believe, because if we believed, we'd go after it. But if we don't believe, our brain freaks out. If we're starting to give up the measure of control that food has for us, our brain starts to freak out and rebels. Because if we don't have food as the only mechanism that we have to deal with emotions, etc., Well, then what do we have? That means we have to deal with our shit. Nobody wants to do that. So fat loss isn't coming from the perfect plan. It's and eating less, move more is useless advice for most people. In fact, it should be the opposite of eat more, move less, because people have an over-reliance on exercise. 1st of January buzz is a perfect example. What's the first thing that most people do when they try to lose weight in January? They try to go to the gym. They join a gym membership and pay for a year and never go again. Now, that's not a dig, but that's reality. But then we also look at it from a point of view of what is the thing that a lot of people maybe don't really tweak. It's eating more regularly so they're not starving in the end of the day. It's increasing their vegetables majority of the time. It's adding more volume into your plates of food so you're not starving. But fast doesn't come from finding the perfect plan. It's about finding a way that you can live. There will be days you will overeat. There will be days you overeat. There will be days you undereat. There will be days you stress eat. But the harsh reality is if we don't necessarily believe, and your confidence is going to be impacted by the methods that you've tried before. It will impact your self-esteem. It will impact your self-worth. But it's not a you problem. And it can feel very personal. And a lot of people can say, well, this is the only way I know. No, that way has been taught to you for so long, but it's not the only way we know. Look at how you fed your kids. Look at how you would treat a kid. You need to understand the third point, which is it's not about being perfect. We need to kill and assassinate the all or nothing mindset once and for all. You do not need the perfect macro split. You do not need to prep every single meal and be Tupperware Mary for every single lunch of the week. You don't need to cut out your favorite foods. You don't need to hit 10,000 steps every day. You don't need an app at all, to be honest with you. But a lot of people will freak out and say, well, how do I know I'm going to be making progress? Well, that's more of a control thing. But a lot of people who use the apps, which are great in the right hands, but a lot of people that use the apps don't track when they're being indifferent or they're out for meals, because if it's not perfect, what's the point in counting? But they're the calories that add up over time and add up quicker. What you do need is a sustainable approach that can do things on your worst weeks where life ramps up and kicks your ass, not just your best ones. The imperfect weeks and being very good at being imperfect will help you better. So if you're trying to lose weight and trying to lose fat, we need to look at, rather than asking what is the best diet, we need to look at what is the least stressful way that I can eat and stick to for the next 6 months, even when life gets busy. So if you are feeling loss of what to eat for fat loss, know that social media has likely overcomplicated it for you. It is not your fault. You need to ask yourself what you'd eat if you weren't dieting. You might uncover what real sustainable eating looks like. And don't just say, I don't know. Sit with the question. Sit with it. And a lot of people will struggle with it because they're so deep rooted through no fault of their own, thanks Slimming Clubs, what real eating is. Not necessarily eating for fat loss, but what eating is. I remember these 3 main points. Eat like you'd want your kids to eat. Balanced with kindness. Not shame-riddled guilt. It's not about knowing more. It's a believing that you can do it. You need to ditch perfection, and real change is built on small little things along the way. So I really hope this has resonated with you. If you want to watch it up on YouTube, please do. Take a second to rate the show, follow the show. Shane Walsh Fitness is the channel. Share it with a friend. Message me on Instagram. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you want more of these, I might even do the interviews with people up on and upload them as well. Remember, you're not broken. Your approach is often what's directing you the wrong way. You're not broken. Your metabolism's not broken. Your hormones are not broken. We just need to get you out of that noisy world of social media and focus on what you can do, believing what you can do, treating yourself like one of your kids. So if you've enjoyed this episode, please tag us, leave a review up on iTunes, up on Spotify. If you want more of the Instagram stuff or up on YouTube stuff, please do let us know. So thank you so much for listening to today's episode.